Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed.
You're listening to Vero, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. This is episode 226, and today we're going to be talking about our November feels. Now, this is a topic we tried talking about a couple weeks ago, y no se nos hizo because we were distracted or something happened and we weren't recording again. So let's keep trucha on the recording button, ladies. Make sure that we see it and that que esté activo. Pónganse trucha. Y we'll talk a little bit about it. But what I wanted, like, before we go into it, like the feels, like November and the feelings that come with it, just check in really quickly. ¿Cómo se encuentran? ¿Qué hacen?
Bien. I know. I was watching the recording button like a hawk ahorita también. I'm like, wait, are we recording? Yes, we're recording. I'm feeling good. I was telling you ladies off record that I signed up for this like Pilates, pop-up Pilates class in a yoga studio that's around the corner, and I liked it. It was a workout. So I feel good. Ando como de buen humor. Right now.
That's good. I know you're working hard over there, feeling good. Working out always makes you feel good. I just got in from my trip yesterday, like at 11:15 at night. I feel good too. Spent some quality time with my husband. Got to take my kids to school today with my husband. I'm feeling good. My hubby got me a new iPhone, so I'm messing around with all the new stuff on it now that it's ready to go. But I'm excited. I finally can take a proper phone call. My other phone no servía, my teléfono mic, so I was always like on speaker. But anyway, we're feeling good, Vero. Excited to be here.
So happy that you got back safely. So happy that Ceci's feeling good and making florecitas for her arts and craft class with the girls. That she's going to show up to class and be like, ya llegué con flores, vénganse.
I think si tengo tiempo, I might like paint my face. Like only like
that's cool.
Excellent. You really should do it.
Yeah.
Ponte las flores en el pelo, do the whole nine.
Sí, me voy a poner mis flores, and I might do my face. I didn't tell the girls that I was going to go. So
I love that. That's my favorite.
So the girls don't know you're coming?
If you don't
No, they don't.
Yeah. I used to never tell my kids. I mean, because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So that's the plan.
Voy a mover esta pinche
¿Qué estás
cámara.
haciendo?
I'm gonna
It's because
lunch to my daughter today to surprise her at school. Go ahead, Vero. ¿Qué estás haciendo? She's got a lot of movement happening in her side of the world. We've seen her whole office. ¿Qué está pasando, Vero?
I'm moving the camera because the auto set up like a whole new setup for me. And I didn't think that it was going to actually work today because it had not worked before. And then I think with my computer restarting, it just completely made the other webcam work, but my other screen's not working, so I can't look up that way. So I'm going to bring it back down to my laptop.
You look
So así me siento más normal viéndolas, because I was looking, you guys were kind of looking down, like I was looking at the computer. Se miraba raro. But anyway.
don't let no bitches look down on you.
No, I mean, because if they're tall, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen. Which reminds me of a story. No bitches looking down at me. We were in Santa Barbara back in the day with our proxy. You guys know our proxy. ARA. Shout out to you, homegirl, in Hayward, in the haystack. But quick story before we get into our podcast.
Portos barked when you said whoa whoa in the haystack. El Portos ladró.
He knows what's up. Ese Portos. But pórtate bien, Portos. So we were at Q's. Remember Q's at Santa Barbara on State Street? We were at Q's, and we go into the bathroom. And of course, I'm not as tall as Ara, so but I'm like, I'm cool. We're good. I have a reasonable height. I'm cool. So someone starts pounding on the door. There's like pounding on the bathroom door, and I was like, it's busy. We'll be out in a minute. And they start pounding again and pounding. I'm like, it's busy. You know, like if it's locked, it's busy. And it just would not stop. So yo me enchilé, me enfurecí, ¿verdad? Y salí bien acá, bien enana, enojada. I was like, oh my goodness. And I come out and I was like, who the hell? Well, of course I didn't say hell, but I said, who the F is pounding on this freaking door, right? And it was these two super tall volleyball player chicks, okay? And I looked at their chest and I was like, and I straight just looked up and I was like, and I just started talking smack anyway. I was like, I'm like looking at their chest and I'm like, okay, that's not her face. Okay, there she is, you know? So I like look at her and I was like, what the F are you thinking? Like pounding on the door. It's a restroom. If it's locked, that means it's busy. And I'm like, and then Ada's like, whoa, kind of like the girl's like starting to step up to me. And Ada's like, no, you don't want to step up to her. You don't know who she is. And I was like, that's right. You don't know who the F I am. Anyway, so that was like a whole story. I was going to go down with these two like super buff, beautiful volleyball chicks, not in the best way possible, meaning like not a fun way, but like I was probably going to get my ass handed to me, and it was going to be even, equal exchange. Pero, ay Dios, es que digo yo, ¿por qué se desespera tanto la gente en los baños?
Por el baño, sí pues. Don't you have like a similar story where like Lisette y unas cholas la estaban viendo, she said something and like...
Vero's always representing us.
I know.
Speaking of feels, she's a peleonera feel.
I know.
Oh my God.
Chola by proxy. Speaking of proxy.
Some dude was like, we went to King Taco, and Lisette mad dogged this chick, right? La miró de pies a cabeza. Like, more just not mad dog her. Like, just looked at her pies a cabeza, kind of like, ay, qué fachas trae esta, right? Because remember, Lisette's Gucci shoes, Gucci todo, ¿verdad? So she looks at this girl up and down as this girl walks to the bathroom, and this guy that was walking behind her, which was not even the girl's boyfriend, it was the boyfriend's friend, is like, goes up to Lizette, is like, who the, que no sé qué, you bitch. All of a sudden, I don't want to say the word bitch. It's like,
No, I know.
guy goes off and I was like, yo, you better stop. So I stepped in. I was like, yo, you better chill the F out before you find out who you're messing with, right? So anyway, that is definitely things like there's a lot of those stories. Es que no me quedo callada también, no me gusta. Ya saben, I've shared that before, that I definitely stand up for the people by the people. So anyway, getting back into the November feels, we had talked about bringing this up because November is known as like feelings of being depressed and feeling down and feeling blue. And I think it's with the changes of like, it's no longer summer. The days are shorter. It gets, obviously gets dark earlier. The temperature starts to change. We just saw one of the girls in the GFS squad share that for Halloween, it snowed, And so there's all these changes happening, and there's environmental changes, obviously, that we can feel and see. So the weather, the time, todo. And we start feeling a little more like, okay, it's the end of the year's coming up. So we start feeling like that nostalgic feel. For me, I was feeling kind of like just very like, and more like, let's slow down. We're wrapping up the year. Let's slow down, even though life isn't slowing down. But my body automatically wants to do that, I think, because of the change, el frillito and the darkness y todo. But I was sharing también how I've been in a lot of my feels because of what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in the Israel and Palestine situation. And although I'm unfortunate with the events that started this, even though there's a long history there, seeing the majority of those affected have been children, women and children, and seeing the suffering of these kids and seeing these kids passing on to their next life, right, has really got me in my feels. I feel so helpless. I feel so useless. I feel like I cannot believe that our humanity, we're allowing, this to happen. And it's not that because I'm pro this, pro that. I think I'm in a sense very much like that is unfair. That is, and then, I mean, obviously those are the consequences of war, but that to me is just like, it really is testing our humanity, and it's testing my humanity and like what I'm capable of doing. So when I get a chance, I do reshare things that I see that I think are valuable, because I'm not an expert in the historic piece of it, but I do see that it is not a fair fight. It is not an ongoing fight where both sides are doing this to each other. And we have to keep our mind open and our hearts even more open, and understanding that there's rules to war, and this doesn't seem to have any rules. But that's where I'm at. And it really, really, really it's holding me like down. Like I can't, like, not that I can't sleep at night, but it's really, I'm having a challenging time, like focusing on like, how am I just going on around my first world problems and like things that I have, do, which is life, right? We need to live life knowing that this is happening. So that was a little bit of where I'm at. I mean, how do we bring in some empathy to these kind of situations, and to understanding that these are human beings that are being affected? Pero ¿cómo se sienten ustedes en noviembre? What feelings come about? What thoughts come about in November?
I just wanted to just point out what you were saying. Yo también, it's so hard to watch, and you see it all over, like on Instagram. So I feel like I've purposely toned down my use of Instagram, because I'm just like, I don't want to see it. I'm like, I know it's happening, and I just, me pone bien triste, and it's just like sad to see those kids, you know. So igual como tú, like I don't know much about the history, and I don't want to like opinar, but sí duele to see, you know, hasta dónde hemos llegado, you know, as humanity. So it sucks. But as far as November, I think before, and I'm gonna try to like remember what I said, but I think before, I used to like dislike the colors because I knew my birthday was coming, and like the orange, I didn't really like orange as a kid. I didn't like orange, but something changed, I guess, when I became an adult. I really embraced like the colors and like the fall colors, and like que los burgundies, que los oranges, and as I'm making orange flowers, right? Pero yeah, I think I like it. I like it. The weather starts feeling a little chill. You know, se presta para un little hot cocoa, and just be cozy and watch a movie, be cozy with a little blanket. My husband and I celebrate our birthdays. So, and then like, and it starts to smell different. It starts to smell like fall, like the pumpkin.
Yeah.
Todo eso, you know? I have, oh my God, speaking of pumpkin. So I have this candle, a pumpkin spice candle that I light every morning when I'm doing like my exercise or my meditation. And when was it? 2 days ago, I got home from work, from picking up the girls, and it was close to 6. And I was like, oh, it smells really nice still, you know? And then I get close to the candle, it was still freaking on. I had left it on since the morning. So for like 6 hours.
Way.
No, actually close to 12 hours, because I probably turn it on around close to 6 a.m. and then I get home close to 6 p.m. and it was on. The good thing it's in like in a large glass container, and I get close to it and I was like, and then Luis was just chilling on the recliner, you know, and I was like, oh, chulo, what? He's like, what'd you do? And I said, I'm like, oh, me vas a regañar. And he's like, what'd you buy? You know, I'm like, I didn't buy anything, you know? And I was like, no, I left this on chula, you know? And I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no sé qué pasó. I'm like, me distraje en la mañana.
How funny that he's like, ¿qué compraste? Con la cara.
I know.
Instead of like, ¿qué pasó?
I know.
You're like, no, casi se quema la casa.
I
Sí,
know.
es que dejé la vela prendida.
La vela prendida, ¿tú crees? But
No, it wasn't a pumpkin pie in the oven. It was the vela.
it was la vela. But the house smelled delicious, you know?
There you
all
go.
day
See, you're
long.
welcome. You're like, you're welcome, Chulo.
Yeah. So anyway, so birthdays, it starts like making me think like, oh, what do we want to do for like the holidays, Christmas? How do we want to decorate? Do we want to have a real Christmas tree or just our artificial one? And then guess what? I already
What?
ordered my Christmas cards.
Oh my God, how cool. I'm going to do that next week.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
job, Ceci.
Like a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago, because this company that I use, they send emails, you know, and I saw order by October 22nd and, you know, get a discount. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it. And I hate writing our return address, so I wanted to buy a stamp. So, aquí está ya listo.
There you go.
Ready.
By the way, I started using that company, Ceci. I think it so far has
like
been the
it.
best one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super good.
So, yeah.
Irene.
No,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
¿Cómo se llama the company for the listeners?
it is called, I know, let's get sponsors right here. Simply to Impress. Unique, affordable, simply impressive.
Simply to
Yeah.
Impress. So for
Order
everybody
your Christmas
listening,
cards or holiday
Simply
cards.
to Impress. We keep giving them a shout out. They need to give us sponsorship. Why not be partners? Why not be partners?
Let's do it. Simply to Impress, if you're listening to this, and we'll somehow make sure that you will listen to this.
We'll make sure all our Latinas are simply impressed.
Let's become affiliates.
huevo.
O algo.
Ah, huevo.
A puro huevo. They're going to be like, never mind.
Es que huevos son de buena suerte, ¿ok? Huevos
There
son de
you
buena
go.
suerte.
Good luck huevos.
Huevos de Pascua.
To go back to our feels, when you were talking about the whole war thing, what I've done is try to turn down the noise and just turn up the prayers and just pray for what's happening, what we can't control, not to be completely oblivious to it, but I understand that also being addicted to trauma can be counterproductive. So just trying to inform myself on as credible of sources as I can and people that I think are pretty fair. So like I was watching like The Independent, and just trying to get like information, but not just like gore and chaos and negativity. So when I get a lot of that, I feel like we gotta pray. But that's just me. Back to fall, it was funny how Ceci's like, I'm gonna try to remember what I said. You know, we're like trying to remember whatever we said, and I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, let me write down if I remember what I said. I think I said something like, I'm the real MVP when it comes to pumpkin spice because I was always into the pumpkin spice. Not a lot of things that I jumped on trend, but I knew that was a lasting trend. But now it's like ridiculous. You throw that shit up and it's everywhere, like all over the stores. But I was the OG with the pumpkin spice latte. I don't know why I was so damn addicted to it, but this time makes me feel that. Like holiday drinks, coffee shops, Christmas trees, because they sell Christmas trees by my Starbucks, and they do like a pumpkin patch by my Starbucks. So I always get that feel first, Vero, like the smells, like the pumpkin spice smell. And then I was what I was saying the last time we recorded is I get the travel feels because this time off is always like travel time. So I went with my daughter to Paris 2 years ago. This year we're going to Canada with my mama. So travel this time of year. It is sad because the weather does change. I also get a little bummed out if it's like not gloomy or not sunny, I should say. And there's just too much gloom. It can be kind of sad, but that's why I like associating it with like fun travel and it's rainy and you're wearing coats and you're cozy and having hot chocolate. It's like the counter to like a sad season. So that's what I'm looking forward to in Vancouver. I just got back from Guanajuato last night, as we said at the top of the hour, and that makes me get into my Mexican feels, and I'm going to try to hang on to that, and I think we need to, so that's going to be the tip of the day. Like, we need to be better about our culture and making sure our kids are doing the same things that our parents did so we don't forget these customs. And so my sister's really good about her altar, and I think I had said that on a previous show, but I'm going to have to get better about that. I went with a good friend of mine to Guanajuato, and we were talking about how we're gonna go all out. We're gonna hold each other to it. She's also a florist, so we're like, we gotta decorate our doors like everybody does. We gotta have calaveras. We gotta have a calavera party. Diego and Frida, like, we are so excited to do like cultural stuff. So right now I'm in those feels because I told y'all already in another show that I love me some live music. So I was raking in all the pretty songs. This time I went on like a theme on like canciones viejitas. So I've been in those fields and like listening to music that my mom like grew up with. And then if I hear La Llorona one more time, I'm literally going to be La Llorona because I heard it so much. So I really want to take my kids next year. So another fun tip, not of the day, but next year, Dia de los Muertos on a weekend. And oh, look at your cute mom. She's so adorable. Qué preciosa. Salúdala.
Door with some avenita and some taquitos because she's like, has andado en chinga toda la mañana.
Oh my God, I want some right now.
Yeah. She's like, ahorita les llevo.
She's so nice. She's a sweetie. She looks so cute.
Oh shit, your mom just walked in, Vero.
To your house? Pinche Ceci.
Qué lindo los ojitos, señora.
Provecho con arroz con lechaca.
We all actually live in the same house. Imagínate.
I know.
Plot twist. We all have our own room in the same house.
Plot twist, yeah.
Anyway, your mom does remind me of this music too. I was bumping her jam earlier. But that's the feels that I'm in right now, Vero. Mexican music, live music, our gentes music. Like, we have to be better, I think, to bring our kids around music that's 100 years old and traditions that are several hundreds of years old, because that's so beautiful, and it's like a counter to a commercial season that we're going into. Right now, everything's going to be buy. You get Black Friday, you get Christmas, you get... No, like, let's go back to the beautiful, like, la rosca, our, cafecito con chocolate, café de olla, like hot chocolate. Like, it could be simple, but like, oh, look, we're going to have our pan de muertos. By the way, I found some delicious pan de muertos at Starbucks, which is so random. But anyway, we were making it with my daughter last week.
Okay, so Irene, you work in Long Beach. There is a bakery, se llama Gusto. Have you heard of it? It's on 4th Street. I just learned about it through my lifelong comadre, homegirl on Defiance crew. She brought me panecito. We met up at her house, and she's like, you have to try this bakery. And it is delicious, authentic, like Mexican pan. Y el pan de muertos estaba delicioso. Oh. It was just so yummy. Había otro pan, un panecito así de nixtamal. So, todo el maicito is just bomb. So, it's on 4th Street. I think it's near like where Lola's used to be, like the other big restaurant. So, I believe it's right there in that little area. So, when you're in there, go check it out, Gusto. And she was mentioning the pan de muerto, it starts coming out at 9 a.m.
I was going to say the one that I found, not Starbucks here in the U.S., like Starbucks Mexico.
In
Obviously,
Mexico?
you're going to find like good quality, like Mexican pastries in Mexico. So, if anybody's in Mexico, but Vero just dropped a really great gem. Gustos. And if you know another good bakery that has good Mexican bread, share with us. We want to share with others. Like, this is important. These are the things we need to be sharing because we want a taste from home and we want good stuff, good quality stuff, not the stuff at 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
They
eso
have,
sí.
they have conchas there.
¿Qué te iba a decir? The kids, they had mariachi at their school just a couple weeks ago. We didn't even know there was going to be mariachi, but they did mariachi for ni sé para qué fue. But anyway, they had a mariachi and they're
It
like,
was to close
"Mami."
out the Latino
Oh,
Heritage Month.
Latino Heritage Month. I'm like, ¿para
We
qué
already know.
fue? Yeah, so they had mariachi for that. And Galilea and Joaquin got in the car so excited. They're like, mamá, ¿hubo mariachi? Y cantaron las canciones que no sabemos. So, of course, like, I like to play, les ponemos Juan Gabriel. When my mom's here, ponemos, Erin was laughing. He's like, Jilguerillas, is that how you spell it on the songs we were sharing this morning? But like Mercedes Castro, Chelo, Lucha Villa, and then going back way deeper into like older songs, right? But the kids like listen to that. Y mamá les canta las canciones que ella se sabe desde chiquita. So the kids were like, cantaron Cielito Lindo, cantaron La Cucaracha, cantaron esta otra canción que va, que no sé qué. And they were singing it because they couldn't remember the name. And I was like, wow, se sabían muchas canciones. Sí, mamá, es que somos mexicanos. Es que somos mexicanos, right?
Love that.
And I was like, ahora sí son mexicanos, because you know how they always say they're Guatemalan? So, hold on, excuse the drive-by right now. Están limpiando las calles in Compton.
I thought it was over here. I was like, oh, is that my dogs? But no.
No, those are the... Están limpiando las calles de Compton esta mañana. So they were really excited about that. So I do believe in that, the traditions. And I think the November feels come along with that, because you start thinking, wow, ya pasó otro año, right? Ya pasó otro año. And you start thinking of like all the things that have happened in the year and the things that have happened in previous years. And you start getting nostalgic. You start thinking like, of the people we love. I mean, we started off November with Dia de Muertos, and, we ended with Halloween, and then we started Dia de Muertos, and then also All Saints Day, and really is honoring the people that have passed on. And I feel that just contributes to that nostalgia of like, wow, hemos perdido familia, seres queridos, amistades, but honoring them, I feel that that's a beautiful thing that is a tradition. And you said that to continue those traditions, and part of it is through food, through music, through traveling to places that bring us, those kind of memories, and just really understanding who we are and where we come from, right? So November allows us, or opens its doors into giving you like that deep look inside of like, what is going on? Who is within me, right? And sometimes there's a little bit of the sadness, and then within that sadness, there's also joy, because you remember all the beauty in what life is, right? Life is pain, life is joy, life is all of the other things, but you don't know joy without pain. I don't think you learn how to value it as much. So, ¿qué piensan ustedes hacer to make this November a little bit memorable? Like I know we talked about our culture and doing little activities. Like, what do you think would be something you try to do to make it like a cool little November to remember with your kids or with your family?
I'm thinking I'm going to make like Thanksgiving really fun. So since I'm hosting Thanksgiving, I said it on another show, like I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year and Christmas. This inspired me. Like, and I think I said it earlier. I don't know if I finished the thought, but like next year's Dia de los Muertos is on a weekend. So I really want to like inspire like everybody to take advantage of that weekend. And maybe you can't travel to Mexico. Like I really would like to take my family to Mexico, but to do something really fun that weekend around Dia de los Muertos. So I'm going to try to take that energy into Thanksgiving with my family, and so that they can feel like it's a Thanksgiving shirt with a lot of touches of Mexico. So just like Ceci's, cutting out her flowers that are really trying to match marigolds, that are really trying to match the vibe of like being in Mexico. Like I want to do that this Thanksgiving and just plant the seed with my family that I want to do more stuff around like theme parties that have to do with our culture. So you see it on TikTok, and I didn't think anything of it until I was in Mexico. Like having the Loteria party is great for the kids. It's great for them to see like Loteria is like our thing. And when I last traveled with Diego and my in-laws, stayed with the kids, they went and bought Loteria, they played Loteria, they were practicing the words. And it's like, I love it. It's like, that's our game. That's our culture's game. So taking it one step further and having like that Loteria party, like I see the value in like La Catrina, blah, 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 El Diablo, blah, blah, blah. Like it's sweet. Like those are our cultural things. So I'm going to do that better of it all. And my plan is to start for Thanksgiving and making it very homey and as Mexican as possible. So maybe a couple of Mexican surprise dishes, which is, I'm going to steal that from my mom. Like we always come to her Thanksgiving when it used to be at her house. And she'd always have a Mexican dish. So we knew there was a secret dish in the kitchen. It's like, it's chile rellenos, or it's carne con chile verde, or it's, just something that we would love, tacos de tripa. So I'm going to do probably carne con chile verde because my family likes my recipe. And they won't expect it unless they listen to this podcast, which hopefully most of them don't because it's just too much information. But that's what I'm going to do, Vero. I'm going to bring my little Mexicanness to my vibes for the holiday this November and this December and just double down on that. And I'm super, super happy to do it because it's my son's last formal year here with us as a senior if he moves to college, and he's been all into tradition as part of Hispanic Honor Society. He holds office, so they did a whole Dia de los Muertos thing on the 1st, and they created an altar, and I think it's a good year to really perpetuate traditions with him because next year he's gonna be alone in the world and in his dorm and doing things and seeing things, and I want him to be on the side of doing, not just watching. Right? If you see Latino groups doing something, I want him to be yeah, that's me. That's my people. I'm going to go hit the piñata. I'm going to go to the altar. I'm going to write my grandpa's name down. Anyway, what do you got planned, Vero? What are you doing de bonito, de fun this November?
¿Sabes qué? Otto tiene this really beautiful costumbre. He's Mr. Nostalgia, right? So he started recording. He's like, the next time my grandma comes, I want to record her, sharing some of her story. And we used to do recordings every other month or so when the kids were little. Or young, they're still little, but then when they were later, younger. And we just share hey, this month this happened, or this week pasó esto, and just kind of they could see it in the future. So I want to start doing that with our family. So my mom just mentioned if we could possibly host Thanksgiving here. And I'm like, Mom, of course. We have the space, por eso está la casa, let's do it. So we might do Christmas as well. It just depends, But I was like, of course, para eso estamos. So if we do that, I kind of want to open up a little station where people can leave in little messages para el día de hey, best memory or something like that. So we can start thinking of those stories or putting those little stories together, and we can compile them and everyone can share oh, I never remembered that. Wow, I can't believe that person did. So I want to start doing that in depth, especially with my mom and my dad. And just because I noticed they are getting older and, even with us, we don't have any day guaranteed, right? We don't have a promise of you're going to live till you're this age. So just maximizing on sharing what we have learned or what we've experienced in, a year or in the last week or something that might be just meaningful to the kids or to the family. So I want to start doing that because I feel that muchas veces se nos olvidan las cosas. So sharing those stories would be very, very awesome. And that's what I want to do with, especially my parents.
It's awesome, but I think it's their voice, their stories, just the way they laugh. I think that's freaking brilliant. I love that Otto's doing that. I think we need to do that. We need to do a better job of honoring people while they're here and capturing who they are while they're here. We don't have, I wish we were those families that have I don't have it. Maybe other families have it, but passed down photos and stories, and maybe photos didn't exist, but we knew who our dad's dad was, and then that person's dad, and what their name was, and who they came from. We also don't have 225 episodes of what they were thinking on a podcast. You know what I mean? Things have changed, and so the rest of us are documenting our lives. So there's very likely a world where hundreds of years from now, someone can look up their grandma, their grandpa, they're going to have our voices. Can you believe that, Beto? Hi, Mama was one of the first podcasts. We don't even have podcasts anymore. Podcasts don't exist. Remember when there was podcasts?
Yeah.
That's
I like when you do that voice. Remember when there was when you do that voice.
So, yeah, we don't have that. So we need to be that, because especially that generation that they grew up without machines in their faces. They had machines, but not someone necessarily taking their photo because they weren't wealthy. My mom, I know for sure. We have one photo of her. I have one photo of her mom when she was young, and it's golden. That one photo means a lot. Una foto, literally una foto.
Yeah,
now I have
una foto.
Thousands of photos.
No, es que también me doy cuenta que my parents, we didn't own a camera. We didn't own a video camera. We were poor. We couldn't afford that. But I have tios and tias that did, and they documented everything. I think that is so awesome. And now we have the luxury of our phones. And for me, sometimes I notice that I'm in the moment and I just forget to record. But I was oh, I should have recorded that. And I'm because I want to remember it later. Because, our minds hold on to only so much information and so many memories. And I was just oh, I should have recorded that. And I feel so guilty later. Oh, I missed it. But I'm no, I was in it. That's okay. Let me do my best to remember this, and, que se me grabe, y, que quede en el vault. But it is hard. It is, we have the luxury of being able to do that. The luxury, the convenience, and now it's just, how do we keep so much space open in our phones? We keep paying for cyber iClouds and clouds. And
in general, even us, like, we're not going to last forever, but someone can actually pull up a podcast and hear from us. So there you go. I love your grandkids that are going to hear this one day. I love all your parents.
I love you, chiquitos.
Love is beautiful.
Un
Dios me los
chingo.
bendiga. Que Dios me los cuide siempre, siempre. Se cuiden de nosotras. Los queríamos mucho. ¡Bravo!
Bendiciones,
I like we need tequila.
I know.
Fine, 10 a.m. morning on a Friday.
I know. It's nice and sunny.
Ahora a rezar un rosario, cabrones. Ándale.
I was going to say something. Oh, you were talking about la lotería, Irene. Yo también. Yo me encontré in my garage clean organizing, me encontré una, like a giant lotería thing that I have. I have it, and the girls were like, ¿qué es eso? And so we played it one day. Queremos jugar más, nomás un ratito, because it was going to be bedtime. But yeah, I want to do that. I want to, nomás que no se pone frío, pues, but like, I'm waiting for like a weekend para hacer, no sé, chocolatito. I want to make atole de grano. Es de Michoacán. I don't know if you've had it, Irene, pero es como un atole salado. Básicamente, I feel like it's un pozole, but you've had it, okay. Yeah. Que tiene elote, and it's like, está verde, and it's good.
Anything with elote, that's why I know I've had it. Todo. I try everything. So, it has corn. Oh, it's corn. Me encanta.
Yeah.
Me encanta. Siempre.
Yum,
I always
yum.
have my pan de elote. I always have atole. Like, I love it.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I want to
course.
do.
Se nota. Anyway,
Yes,
you want to make that? I love it.
I want to make that. Pero estoy, I'm waiting for the day that it's like frillito para hacerlo. Luis quiere que hagamos tamales. So maybe en una de estas. Mis tíos ya llegaron de México. Mi tío Ricardo y mi tío Carlos. They got here on Friday.
How cool.
Yeah. And yesterday was mi tío Carlos's birthday. So I had gone over to take my mom to her appointment. And he's like, oh, we're all going to go eat. And he's like, can you stay? I was like, yeah, I think so. So I ended up having like an early dinner, Mexican time, la comida, with them. And so it was good. I mean, it was like toda la familia, like a bunch of mis tías. My mom went. My mom's caregiver went, My sister went. Some of my cousins went. And mis tías, tíos. So it was nice. He's like, oh, no, algo simple. Let's go to Olive Garden. So it was like a huge table. Éramos como 17. So that was nice. To kind of kick off the month and, be in estar en familia. He's like, qué bueno, let's say, right, this is good. I'm like, yeah, it was good. So that, what else se me antoja hacer? Well, I want to continue doing my garage clean, con música. I love cleaning con música, con esas canciones that you guys were mentioning, rancheras. And then just be in my feels. Like, I've been talking about, like, I want to, like, poner canciones y like, okay, ¿sabes? Vamos a poner de puras de esas para llorar. Like, I've been wanting to do that.
Una buena chillada.
Una buena chillada. Sí.
I think November calls for that.
Right.
A good chillada. Just bien chillona. What was it? I was talking to my brother yesterday, and it had been a while. We had just kept missing each other, and like life gets busy, and the kids are doing sports. So just how Irene's consistently busy with the boys and like with Sophie and theater. My brother's just like por todos lados. Julietta's en folklórico. The boys are playing sports. They're doing all this, so they're always somewhere doing something. And I had not talked to him, I think, in maybe 2 months, like an actual conversation, like a quick text. Hey, ¿cómo estás? Hey, okay, bye. But I had not heard my brother's voice in a minute. So I called him. I left him a message. I'm like, hey, call me when you get a chance. And he finally called me back. No, he didn't call me back. Then I called him again yesterday. And he was at work still. But I called him from the Google. I was washing dishes. I was like, let me see if Google can call someone for me. So Google called my brother. And he answered all like sus. He's like, who is this? And I was like, buscando al hombre, Horacio. He's like, oh, wait, what's up? And I was like, hey. He's like, why are you calling me on a private number? And I was like, why are you being all weird, though? So anyway, he was at work. He's like, I'll call you when I get off. So we ended up talking for a while. And I had asked him about, I asked him about Jared, my nephew. And he's like my firstborn nephew, right? My first boy. He was like my baby boy. And I'm like, hey, how did his retreat go? And did he get, how did he think about the letters that everyone wrote to him, that he received? He's like, oh, he was sharing that. And then he started asking me, he's like, how did you, he's like, oh, he shared this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. And I go, oh my God, yeah. I'm like, I couldn't even write the letter. I was typing the letter and I cried the entire time. So I was like, I don't even know if my letter made sense because I wanted to just stop crying también, But he's like, you cried, and he was asking me, he's like, Vero, have you always been? And as I'm telling him this, I'm crying. I start crying on the phone. He goes, Vero, have you always been this emotional? Aww. And I'm like, no, not always. I was just like, just more recently.
When you
and
become
I think,
a mom, yeah, of course, especially with nieces and nephews.
I think, I think with nieces, nephews, and then becoming a mom has just really, boom, got me. And, so yeah, I told him like, no, not always, but I think in the last 10 years, my emotional intelligence has changed. I guess within me has changed. My gauge has gone towards more emotional, and I'm like, but I prefer the emotional part than like holding things in and being cold and being, something else that doesn't feel right to me. So he's like, oh, okay, I was just curious. He's like, no te acordaba de tan chillona. I was like, yeah, era más cabrona. I'm like, soy todavía cabrona. It's just that cabronas cry too, like it's okay. Like when Luis said, no puedo creer que Vero llora. Es una chingona. And like, las chingonas lloramos, okay? Las chingonas también lloran. I'm gonna make my own banda song. Las chillonas son chingonas. But anyway, yeah, November gets you in those feels.
You know what? I feel you in that, going back to what you're saying about like the nephew, like your firstborn nephew, there's just something about it. My sister shared with me what she wrote in the yearbook for him, like it's the senior year, and I was like, oh my God, she shared it with me yesterday. Oh my God, I feel like I want to start crying right now.
Oh my God, I got the chills.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my God, and then about opening, about holding things in and opening up. I just recently had a conversation with my sister about that, I was disappointed in her about something that, she had said she was going to do and then she didn't. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I'm like, this is how I feel. And I just want to tell you that this is how it's making me feel. Da, 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 da. And then I'm like, Bennett, I want you to respond. Like, I want to hear your voice. I don't want to just like a text message, And she's like, yeah, I'm going to respond. And then she responded and, she said things that I'm like, I hadn't realized. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that that's how you took that. And what else were we talking about? And she said, that she felt like I was more expressive and it was easier for me to communicate those things. And I said, but I haven't always been like this. This has been, years of work, years of, maturing and growing up, becoming a mom and therapy, because I'm like, I would have never said this before. I'm like, but this is the work that I've done, to don't hold things in, say them, feel them. And, and I'm glad that I'm being open like that,
I love that, Ceci. I love that for you. I love that you were able to kind of strengthen that communication with your sister and allow her, open the space for her to also openly share. Because some of us take a little longer to do that,
Yeah, and the whole dynamic, the older sister, younger sister. I know that maybe in the past I've kind of acted like a parent where she didn't need a parent, she needed an older sibling, and I didn't know how to be that, like how, maybe I was critical of things she was saying, and I didn't realize that because I felt like I was maybe imitating how my mom would have acted, and I went back to, when she first had Gio, and I was like, hey, why did I say that? Like, why did I act like that? That's so weird, So
es que no sabemos, vamos aprendiendo.
Yeah.
It's like when I had my first three nieces. My nieces are 28, 26, 24. I became a tia at 11. What do I know about being a tia? They're like, you used to scare us so much. You used to do this. You used to do that. And I'm like, I'm fucking sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What is an
eres una
11-year-old
niña.
supposed to
Tú eres
know?
una
Like,
niña también,
yeah, una
yeah.
pinche chiquilla mocosa, tonta, que no sabía nada. Like, maybe it seemed funny to me then because I was a freaking kid. I'm sorry if I, hurt you. But, what do we know? And the only thing is learning from our mistakes, right? Owning those mistakes, learning from them, and growing in ways that we can be better. And we know we can be better. Sometimes no, es que somos flojas o es como la palabra que usaste la otra vez, es la desidia, por desidia, de decir, so it's in us. If we really want to make a change, if we really want to be better, it's in us. We can do it. It's not impossible. Young kids can do it. Old people can do it. It's going to be a little harder because you're stuck on your ways sometimes, but you can do it. Se puede. All right. Anything you guys want to share before we go?
Puede. No. I love you guys. I want to hug you guys. I want to drink with you guys. Y quiero llorar con ustedes.
Yeah, that's all the feels.
I know.
Praying, cry, talk, be together, sending hugs, sending love. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Vero.
Besos.
Pues les queremos mucho. Thank you for tuning into the show. Hopefully you guys can take some time to talk with your friends, your family, share your feelings, share what November's bringing into light for you or bringing to mind for you, what's bringing into your heart. Pray for everyone, send love into the universe, into the world. And that I hope that everyone has a great, great day and rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast. If there's anything you want to share with us, we're talking about, great fun and great this and great traditions. What are things that you want to share with us that you'd like us to know about? You can shoot us an email it's admin@leveluplatina.com. You can also follow us on social media and send us a DM on Facebook and Instagram @leveluplatina. We're hardly ever on Twitter, so we're going to have to find a way to get on there @Latina_up. But you can find everything about who Vero, Ceci, and Irene are, who we are, what we do with Level Up Latina, that we are amazing coaches, we have an amazing community called the Guilt Free Squad. Join us to come in group coaching for community. We're starting off, we have our next group session. Well, maybe this will be already out, right, by that session?
No.
No?
This one is scheduled to come out on the 8th, I believe. Yeah, on the 8th. So there's still time to join the Guilt Free Squad and join our next session on November 18th.
Perfect. So ya saben, inscríbanse. You can go to leveluplatina.com. That is leveluplatina.com. Find out what we're all about. Join the community. Vénganse cabronas. Vámonos todas juntas a crecer, to level up. And then if there's a business out there that you're aware of, a Latina owned business, let's share to let them know that they can put out a message to the world through our podcast, a shout out on the podcast. That is really an expensive way to put your name out there and your goods and your services y toda esa onda. So go to leveluplatina.com. You can find out all the information. Thank you again. Nos queremos mucho. Thank you. Don't forget to what? Level up.
Level up.
Y lavarse la colita.